Perry, the guitar player. Do you know him?
Uh,
He played
yeah,
with Billy Sheehan and Palace, the original
yeah, yeah.
Palace. He and he played with Michael Schenker for a while. Um, Mitch and I met in California. Um, I don't remember where we met, but he liked the sound of my voice. We were both really young. I was probably 21, 20, maybe a little older. I don't remember, but we went into a studio and recorded 5 songs, and nothing ever happened with it. And I was pretty basically homeless. I was staying with a
Mhm.
woman named Lucy Forbes. I was sleeping on her floor in Santa Monica, and I'd had enough. And I'm leaving LA. Nothing's going to happen. So I took off and I went to Colorado, where my parents lived. And I left all my cassettes, all the songs we recorded at her house. And she knew Dieter Dierks, the producer of the Scorpions, and he
Mhm.
came to Los Angeles for some meetings with the Scorpions and to look for a singer for Accept. So he said, Lucy, I'm in dire need. I need a singer, an American or an Englishman or someone who speaks good English, because we're going to kind of change the direction of the band, and because we're not really getting the sales success that we want. The record companies, do you know anybody? And she said, yeah, this guy. And she laid my cassette down. He put it in his car driving back to the airport, and he said, that's the guy.
Yeah.
And he called her and said, where does he live? Where can I find him? And she goes, I don't know his phone number. But she knew my mother's name, and I guess they called my mother's house and then told them my phone number at my house. And one night, Wolf Hoffman called me out of the blue and said, I really like your voice. I like what you do. Would you be interested in an audition for Accept? And I was like, of course, because
Yeah.
I used to do Restless and Wild and a
Hmm.
lot of the old songs in the clubs. So a few days later, I was on an airplane to Dusseldorf doing an audition. And I ended up auditioning for probably 6 months. And then they put together a live show, and it was the final test to see if I was the right guy. And we sold out the club, and the place went crazy. So the next day they said, welcome to the band. An English guy before me named Robert Armitage from England. And he
Yeah.
just didn't have the bold personality. He could sing pretty good. And after a few weeks living with him, they said, this isn't going to work.
Yeah.
So they got rid of him, and then they started hunting for a singer again.
Mhm.
And that's how they found me.
Yeah.
So
And you had
magical
a
business.
pretty hard job because
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wasn't easy. I mean, you either loved Eat the Heat or you hated it. There was
yeah,
no
yeah.
middle. But now I find that people really love it. I was a special guest on the UDO Steel Factory tour.
Hmm.
And I played a lot of the Eat the Heat songs on that tour. And many people brought the original cassette or the vinyl
Yeah.
and CD to shows, and I signed them. And they had just reissued Eat the Heat again with orange
Hmm.
vinyl remastered, and people were buying that, and they were saying, now we love it. I think the biggest mistake was we should have stayed more in the line of Ecstasy, D Train, Hellhammer. If we'd have come out with a record that was really heavy all the way through, it would have gone over better. The biggest mistake you make with a band like Accept or Sabbath is you let the corporate people who wear the suit and
Yeah.
ties start thinking about money and commercializing. Band Accept and UDO, they have a legendary following of people for 50 years. So it was shocking. Nobody really understood. I mean, I think Mean Machine sold better than Eat the Heat. It didn't sell much more, but it was
Hmm.
Udo, and
Yeah.
everybody went to Udo's side. And Animal House, that record was going to be an Accept album, so they just gave him all the music
Hmm.
and lyrics as kind of a business agreement. I would
Yeah.
have loved to have put on Animal House on Eat the Heat. That's a great song. A dear friend of mine, and he was always very gentlemanly to me. I mean, we were recording next door to each other. He was doing Mean Machine, and I was doing Eat the Heat, and we would drink together, eat dinner together. He was always very kind, and I respect him totally.